Catch fam? And Steven checking in here mid Ravens Raiders game. Ravens currently up, but it is looking close, right? And if you are not new to the channel, you usually see me with a hat. This is Shambly Steven. Look at me. I look like a mess. And that's because my team is a hot mess. I just got my ass beat by my co-host John's fantasy team. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We are going to do a breakdown of my fantasy football roster. Look at some of the things that I am so sad about, so disappointed about. Because guess what, guys? We got to get better for week 2. We got to get right back in there. I know there's some subscribers out there of the Catch fam that had some bad weeks, right? Because Aaron Jones, Zeke Elliott, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb balled out, but you had a lot of really top talent. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, so many good guys that we spent high draft capital going out and get. They just did not show up week 1, right? So don't overreact. Don't take any crazy trade offers. Stick to your gut. Build your team for the rest of the season, right, guys? So taking a look at my week 1 roster, Tom Brady and Chris Godwin were really the headliners. They started off hot, and really it didn't get much better from there. um, Tom Brady, Chris Godwin both had nearly Chris Godwin almost had 20 points too, but they looked to be in sync all night long. I'm excited about anybody on this Tampa Bay offense going forward, whether it's Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. I think they always have to be started because this offense can go off for 30 to 40 points a game. And I love it all because it all comes from Tom Brady, right? The only thing that I am very sketched about on this Tampa Bay offense is Ronald Jones. That fumble is bad for his outlook for the rest of the season because there's one thing about Bruce Arians, right? He does not like fumblers. And Ronald Jones has had a history of fumbling, which has put him in Bruce Arians' bad camp. So I am a little sketchy and a little uncertain if Ronald Jones is going to see too many looks going forward, right? Um, Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson. I think if you're fantasy owners of these two guys, you're not angry and you're not excited because they didn't do a ton, right? I think the biggest question mark is injuries. Austin Eckler obviously already has the hamstring issue, which led to him not being on the field a ton. But now Antonio Gibson has this shoulder injury, right? So definitely need to monitor this because you don't want to be in a position where he is not healthy and going into your lineups. Because especially too, because with Ryan Fitzpatrick down, I do think they're gonna go to a more run heavy approach, and which would see Antonio Gibson getting insane volume. I think he'd be getting 20 plus touches a game. So hopefully he's healthy so he can shoulder that burden that I think they want to give him. Allen Robinson was a real disappointment week 1, but guys, let's not overreact to this, right? He played the Rams, he played Jalen Ramsey. The devil's in the details, okay, guys? So don't get upset that, your star receiver that you took early didn't play well. They're not always going to play well, but they're definitely not always going to play well when their quarterback's Andy Dalton and you're playing against the freaking Los Angeles Rams. They are a matchup for nightmare for anyone. So I'm expecting him to get off to a hot start next week, but we'll get into that soon. Mark Andrews hasn't done anything so far in this Ravens Raiders game, and it's almost over. And man, is it tight. But honestly, that is a little sketchy for me, right? I would hope that Mark Andrews, with all the injury devastation that's happened to this Ravens team, I would hope he's a more vital part of this offense. So definitely want to see a bit of an uptick here going forward. This isn't a very hard matchup either. This is definitely just another disappointing event in the string of disappointing games that I had on my fantasy team, which has led to me having a sub 100 performance, one of the first in my fantasy history. So this is a little bit depressing. Most depressing part about this week was Brandon Aiyuk. I'm sure there's some other fantasy owners out there that are on this channel that have Brandon Aiyuk, and I know you're hurting, man, because we just hit the drum all off season for this guy. This was a my guy for me, and he just did me dirty. Just didn't even get the inactive note. Nope, fully healthy, fully active, and then comes in and just does not even play, right? Lets his teammate Debo Samuel take all the glory against the Detroit Lions and ball out and have 30 points, whereas he just sat on the sideline and didn't get anything, right? So I'm certainly hoping he gets healthy soon because I need him in week 2. That is for sure. But DJ Chark and, and Jamar Chase played exceptionally well. DJ Chark had 12 targets. This is a guy who was definitely the most talented receiver coming into the year. Last year, I thought he was their best receiver, has 4.3 speed, has great yak potential too. Great receiver, I think DJ Chark is. and really saw a lot more targets than I thought he was going to, despite the competition with Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault in that receiver core. But Jamar Chase was the biggest surprise of the week, guys. Comes out here. I took a ninth round flyer on Jamar Chase. I'm sure some of you owners out there got him with a steep discount because, dude, everything came out bad about him. I mean, it was like this guy couldn't see the ball because the stripes were bad. I mean, this dude was terrible in preseason. But I just said, you know what? This guy was a superstar at LSU. He's got the chemistry with Joe Burrow. He's got to turn out good. Took the flyer on him. It worked out. And I think he's going to be great this year because the one thing about Jamar Chase is that superstar athletic profile. If he gets his swagger and his confidence going, I think this is going to be a season that's very similar to Justin Jefferson in terms of potential, guys. I think he has the potential to have that kind of season. Not sure that offense is as good as that Vikings offense was last year, though. So that could cap him a little bit. But going into week two, definitely hoping for better matchups and a better performance overall as a team. But, getting Tom Brady and Chris Godwin to get against the Falcons, that's a great start, guys, because this Falcons team looked shitty as hell going against the Eagles, man. They got torn up left and right. They looked unprepared. They looked sloppy on both sides of the ball. And I cannot wait till the Buccaneers feast on them next week. I think that's going to be a great matchups. He's obviously got Patrick Mahomes against Baltimore. I think that's going to be a shootout for sure. So I do think Mahomes is going to have a great chance. And the way we're seeing the Ravens and Raiders hang in tight right now, I think Mahomes is probably going to feast. That defense is also banged up with their linebacking core and their secondary having tons of energies. But looking at the running back core I have here, so Austin Eckler, Gibson going against Dallas and the Giants, I think both of these are good matchups. We saw Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon run all over this Giants team. And we saw the Buccaneers have pretty good success on the ground against this Dallas Cowboys team. So I do think that these guys have a good chance to outperform their week one potential, which is all we really need, right, guys? Biggest thing is Antonio Gibson has to be healthy. Somebody who is going to outperform their week one performance, right? I don't want to jinx them, but Allen Robinson, great matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson cook the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And I think Allen Robinson has a chance. I think the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, has a good rivalry or good revenge tour right here. Comes back, throws a touchdown to Allen Robinson. I'm baking that into my projections. That's a lock for me, baby. I need it because I need to get back in week two. But Mark Andrews going up against Kansas City, right? We got the Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews matchup, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. That's going to be a fun game, man. This Sunday night special is going to be a good one for sure. But biggest thing on my team here is I need Brandon Aiyuk to be back healthy because this is not a situation where I can really flex in DJ Chark or Jamar Chase. I don't love these matchups. Whereas I was so happy about the performances out of Jamar Chase and DJ Chark in week one. I just think the matchups really limit their upside here. So I really want to have Aiyuk play against this Philadelphia defense, which whereas they pitched a great game against Atlanta, I do think a lot of that had to do with how bad Atlanta was as a team that week. Overall, though, looking at that roster, I mean, we obviously have the Patriots defense against the Jets, too. I'm very happy about Zach Wilson. I thought he was really good. I'm going to look on the waiver wires to try to get defenses like the Arizona Cardinals and the Denver Broncos, though, who I think are hot streams for this week. Um, obviously, I mean, if you can get Arizona, that's always good. They just had 16 points this week and just absolutely tore it up, right? But with that said, too, I mean, getting Denver against the Jacksonville offense, which had Trevor Lawrence throwing 3 picks, that's a pretty good matchup as well. But looking at his team too, Dalvin Cook again, Arizona. Dalvin Cook had 100 yards. He looked pretty fresh against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I expect him to play pretty well against them too. I do see that being a nice matchup. Josh Jacobs at Pittsburgh, man, that's a steer clear, right? Josh Jacobs was already kind of questionable coming into this Ravens game. I just do not like him in general, so I'm a little biased, but going against that Pittsburgh front, man, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Julio Jones at Seattle. So that's an interesting one, right? I mean, they strapped up the Colts team pretty well, but Julio Jones didn't do anything against Arizona. That's kind of I'm throwing away that game. I think that was kind of just a wash, similar to the Green Bay Packers New Orleans game. I just think a lot of shit went bad early and they got away from their game script. So I'm still hopeful on Julio Jones long term, and I think he can maybe get it turned around here against Seattle. Debo Samuel at Philly. screw Debo Samuel. I hate him. But no, in all seriousness, especially if Brandon Ayuk is down, I think Debo Samuel is an absolute stud this week and is going to cook. So I'm thinking that's a great start right there for my opponent, and I'm hoping that Ayuk is good to go so that Samuel's upside is capped a little bit. Hawkinson, man, absolutely killed it this week against the 49ers. I was really impressed with them. 21 fantasy points and a half PPR, but a lot of that had to do with obviously they were coming back late, chucking the ball over the yard. But um, tell you what, man, led by Dan Campbell, this Lions team does not quit. They're going to fight to the very last second, and I think you could see a lot of games where the Lions are fighting to the very last second and would put Hawkinson in a potential to get some late scores, some late catches. So, it's not over for Hawkinson until it's over. So the game's over, that's for sure. Chase Claypool against the Las Vegas Raiders. I hate this Raiders team, to be honest, but they are putting up a good fight against the Ravens right now. But I think the Steelers have a good chance to really beat the crap out of them. They like to hit you in the mouth, that's for sure. And I think Chase Claypool has a great opportunity here to exploit this defense, whether it be on jet sweeps or whether it be on deep passes. I mean, he made a crazy catch against this Bills defense over Tre'Davious White, who's one of the best corners in all of football. So I think Claypool has a great opportunity to cook. I'm a little scared about Claypool going up against me next week, actually. And him having the Buccaneers defense against the Atlanta Falcons, that's also a little scary. We did see this Buccaneers defense get exploited a little bit through the air, but I don't see the Falcons doing that. They are not Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. And looking at his bench, I will say Christian Kirk, I'm hesitant to go out and bite after him, right? If he's on your waivers or anything like that, I'm hesitant to go out and get him. He saw similar game performances last year where he would have these outstanding games and then just go kind of zero dark 30 on us, right? He would not show up for a while. So I'm thinking that that's going to be a similar type of scenario here, but outside of that, his bench is pretty weak. And with that said, guys, we have football back in our lives. Week 1 is in the books. Week 2 coming up, guys. We really appreciate all the support you've been giving the channel recently. We encourage you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 200 subscribers, guys, and you are the reason we are getting there. And with that said, you heard it here at the catch.